Jimmy, cut the music. And we're live. Hi, welcome back to Eyes on Carnivore. If you're new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Shan Scott. I'm 57 years old and I'm a carnivore because I'm reversing blindness. You will not believe my story. Today I'm interviewing someone, but I'll just give you a quick, brief introduction to myself. In 2018 or 2006, I was diagnosed legally blind. In 2018, things were pretty bad, and I had an iPhone Max that I couldn't use. It was all blurry. I could barely answer the phone and swipe right. In 2020, I went for an eye test. I got no results on the eye chart. In 2023, I started the carnivore diet. Within a few weeks, I noticed my eyesight getting better. And then in my right eye, I had a cataract operation and things improved and kept improving month on month on month till last November. I got a score of 9+2 on the eye chart, and there's only a few letters to go. So my left eye is also repairing. It also has had a cataract operation in October last year, 2024, and it is also repairing. So this is my story. If you check out my other videos, you'll see some of the evidence, the test results, the reports that I put up on the screen, and I talk about my thing. But today, I'd like to introduce Anthony. Anthony, please, can you give us a quick introduction?
Hi, Sean. Thanks for having me. My name's Anthony Phaesse. I've been in the carnivore space since 2009. I work predominantly as a personal trainer since 2001, and I've been using the carnivore ketogenic diet since 2009 to help people improve body composition.
Okay, that's great. So what brought you to carnivore? What did you have something wrong with you? What's your story there?
So I initially found the carnivore diet through a gentleman called Vince Gironda. He was a bodybuilding coach back in the 40s and 50s, and he was using the steak and eggs diet to help people improve their physiques. And the steak and eggs diet was actually called the high definition diet back then, or the high fat diet. And I didn't know it was called the carnivore diet. That was very new to me until only a few years ago when I saw an interview with Joe Rogan and Dr. Shawn Baker. And later on became the carnivore diet. But I've been using the steak and eggs diet since 2009 and even earlier. I think it may have been since 2003 when I discovered Vince Gironda. Mm-hmm. So now I've got my own story, and it's very similar to yours in regards to eye health. I had a sugar addiction for a very long time. And one morning I woke up with blurred vision, and it was early signs of diabetic retinopathy. And my father.
Did you actually feel yourself going, like, losing the vision, or it went slowly? It was sudden.
It was. I didn't put the pieces together, Sean. For me, I just thought blurred vision was just because I was waking up in the morning and give me some time for the blurred vision to go away, and it would take longer and longer every time. So I woke up, I thought blurred vision was just a part of how everyone wakes up. But then the time would take longer and longer. So sometimes it would take 5 minutes, and it would take 6 and 10 minutes before you know it. I'm in the gym training clients half an hour, and I still have blurred vision. And I thought that doesn't add up. I'd be looking into the mirror at the gym, and I couldn't even see my own reflection clearly. So I thought something's going on there. And one morning it got really bad. And I can tell you, it used to always happen on the back end of it, Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So the night before, I'd be eating a whole tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, wake up the next morning, and pay the price for it. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, that was it for me. Now my father died of diabetes. He had diabetes and then cancer, and I've spoken about it in other podcasts before. But one day I was actually right next to him on the couch, and he just lost his vision.
Lost his vision.
Just lost his vision.
This is what are some of the people I've heard, that they just wake up and it's gone. It's nothing.
Yes, it was so
for
dramatic.
you to have some sort of slow progress was probably a good thing in your case, because you've been able to catch it. personal question, how did that make you feel when you realized that your eyesight was going? For me, I mean, it's been very gradual, so it's not like, yeah, the lights were switched off. Um, so
Anxious,
how did you feel? Anxious?
anxiety was the biggest thing for me.
Mm,
Anxiety, and then fear. All of the negative aspect, the negative emotions we get: anxiety, panic, fear,
mm,
um,
very scary.
uncertainty. Very, very scary. And for me, I don't need too many signals. I don't need too many warning signs. And that was the final day. And that was, I'll never forget the date. It was the 5th of June, 2023.
Your
That's the
date.
day that I looked straight into my eyes in the mirror and I said, no food is worth you losing your eyesight over. And I have not touched sugar since then.
Yeah.
So,
I think I've heard you say that before, and that's a very succinct way of looking at it. There's no food in the world that's worth risking your health, and
mhm,
especially your delicate eyesight. You put it so well. I
mhm.
think you were with Dave Mack.
Yeah.
And your father he went suddenly. How old was he at the time?
Did you say you're 56?
I'm 57 now.
Okay, so he passed away age 58.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
I
his
was,
eyesight went before then?
his eyesight went and it was just transient. It came back though, but that was the beginning of the end for him.
Hmm.
So from the diabetes, then it went to the cancer, and the cancer is what took him.
Sure. How long did he have diabetes for? How long was he diagnosed? And was he on metformin and well controlled or?
He was on numerous amount of drugs. I do believe metformin was one of them,
Hmm.
and blood pressure medication, metformin. He was also taking statins as well. So
Oh
there's a few
God.
things he was taking, and yeah, and that was it. He was very young, and his mother passed away with diabetes too.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that,
So
mate.
I was pretty much going to be the next one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
that's definitely scary when you realize your own mortality from your parents or even siblings or
Hmm.
friends, you know, distant family. I mean, these sort of things should ring home to people. And you know, people watching, if you have family and friends, you need to let them know that there is hope because people like Anthony and myself, we've found. Uh, what do you call this, Anthony? What's the magic thoughts in this whole equation with carnivore? What's your take on it?
Well, you've discovered the truth, the Holy Grail, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically what truth is. Truth speaks to you through personal experience, and it's what resonates with you. Now, sometimes
Mm,
people don't listen to that experience until it's rammed time and time again until they actually learn. The problem with experience is we don't learn from it, and it has to take the crisis of life for us to make change.
yeah.
You know, they
I,
say these days they say the first symptom of a heart attack these days is death.
yeah, right. And
It's
that's the
often too
stark
late.
truth as well. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So truth is
Have
that which
you?
resonates.
Mm, yes, yes. And if you were to give advice to other people that you know about the potential for healing, do you come up with strategies for doing that? Because it must be on your mind that the people that you help specifically with their health and their exercise regime,
Hmm.
that must be a topic of interest for you for sure.
In my field, I've got a challenge on my hands because I'm in the space of body composition. For those that don't know, body composition is basically manipulating muscle to fat ratios. People that come to see me want to do two things. I want to build muscle and lose body fat, and or
Mhm.
both. But in my field, I've got a big battle because you can achieve optimal body composition in spite how you eat. Meaning, as long as you're taking in less energy than what you're expending and you're consuming sufficient protein, you can continue eating a petrol station diet as long as you're having enough protein and you can still get yourself in shape. And my
Sure.
challenge is, just because you're in shape does not mean you're healthy. You've just got maximum muscle, minimal body fat. But the problem we have is, these days people are getting advice from people because they look a certain way. They look a picture of health on the outside, but they're not really healthy on the inside. So you've got to be healthy to get in shape, not get in shape to think you're healthy.
Mm. Yeah, I love how you put that. That's a really good way of looking at it. So
Mm,
as part of your plan, your strategy, do you try to work diet into it, or it just
of
is on a
course.
case by case basis?
Yeah. Health must be driven, number one. Health is first. Health always comes first, because I used to train a lot of bodybuilders, and I've actually buried a fair few in their 20s and 30s because they were chasing a certain look at the expense of health. And they were getting that look. And so, number one for me is, I'm here to drive health. Health is the absence of disease. That's what health is.
Yeah.
The absence of disease is the true definition of health. So we are driving health first. We are improving all your metabolic markers first. And a distant second is body composition. That will come when it comes.
Okay. Well, we'll talk a bit more about that towards the end. I wanted to touch back upon your way that you're doing things on a daily basis, compared to what was happening with you, say, before Carnivore. Have things changed dramatically for you? We'll get back to
Yes.
the eyesight, but you
Yeah,
must have
great
had
question.
other things going on in comparison.
Well, in the past, I grew up in the era when I was coaching early on. It was all about 6 meals a day, and it was all about proteins, carbs, and fats together. And you had to consume carbohydrates with every meal, protein with every meal, fibrous carbohydrates as well as starches, and some fat. And that's how it was. And then on the weekend, you could throw in one cheat meal, so to speak, as like we used to say, get off your diet to stay on your diet.
Okay.
Meaning, like, during the week, which is funny we call it a diet. I mean, getting people to eat unprocessed foods nowadays is called a diet. How crazy is that?
Mm.
You're going on a diet? No, it's how we're designed to eat, but we call it a diet for some crazy reason. Anyway, so during the
Sure.
week, you would be structured, and then on the weekend, you would throw in a hamburger or some ice cream or whatever it might be. So you're kind of waiting for that weekend day to come, and then you're all bloated from that ice cream on the Sunday, and then you go back to eating clean on the Monday, and it's a rinse and repeat.
Right. Did you overcome any challenges that the typical issues of pain and sleep, mental health,
Oh yes.
potentially autoimmune diseases, and we'll touch base back onto your eyesight again. But what about the
You know,
other
you know what's interesting,
things?
Sean? In retrospect, now that I think back, I had all of them. I just didn't realize. I thought I was just going through phases. So I've had
Bingo.
anxiety and depression. I went through that. I had that in my
Mm.
20s, and I thought it was just a process I was going through. I had that. I had gout, believe it or not. I experienced gout for the very first time only a few years ago, both in my ankle and my big toe. So I had that. I've had chronic lower back pain, and that was going on for a long time. I've had insomnia, and that went on for a while. So I've experienced a fair few things that I did not realize till now it was diet related, until I had a contrast and went 100% carnivore. Because up until then, even though I knew about the carnivore diet in 2003 with the steak and eggs diet with Vince Gironda, even though I knew about it back then, I I only I dabbled into it to get in shape. I didn't think it was a way of eating, a way of life. So I was only doing it short term just to lose a few pounds here and there. And then
Mm.
I'd go back to this 6 meals a day, protein, carbs, and fats, cheats on the weekend.
Sure.
And that went through my 20s, in my 30s, and even in my early 40s. I was doing all of that. And only recently, when I went complete carnivore, that I had this incredible contrast, and a lot of these
Mm.
dis-eases, the lack of ease of the body, they started being ameliorated. I realized, wow, it was a diet issue all along, because the back pain's gone. The eyesight's 100% now. I don't have any depression, anxiety. None of that's happening right now. No insomnia. I sleep really well. So it had to take a retrospect to realize that I had all of these. And only once I've made a decision to go carnivore fully, that the contrast experience gave me that revelation.
Sure. Hallelujah. I mean, I love that word. I say it a few times myself.
Mm.
Um, with your line of work, is it something that you found yourself needing to go to the doctor regularly, semi-regularly, or, when you injured yourself? And did you get tests and things like that?
I wasn't one thing I didn't do was go to a doctor. It had to take something really severe for me to go and see a doctor. But I would probably see an allied health professional, something like a physio or a chiro, for more structural balance and things within the body, but nothing more sinister than that. So it wasn't maybe the odd cold. Back then, I'd probably just get given prescribed antibiotics, which I would take. I had no idea how the impact they have on gut health back then. But other than that, I wasn't really too fond of going to doctors.
Fair enough. And I think before my next question, a cautionary tale for other people you need to go to your doctors, you need to get tests done. And I'm thinking specifically for eye tests because your eyes are a marker of your health. So,
Hmm.
Anthony, did you get eyes checked when you figured that you were having some blurriness? Had you done regular checks in the past over the years at all? Commonly, people don't. Um,
No, I didn't. I
mm,
didn't. I went. I still have a few floaters that come and go, but I didn't. The other thing I forgot to mention, I also had tinnitus, severe tinnitus in
Sorry, what
early.
was that?
Exactly. So ringing of the ears in 2012, and that was when I gave up coffee in 2021. I noticed a substantial decrease in tinnitus, and also when I gave up sugar in 2023, and that went even less. So now it's almost I can't really hear it. Only sometimes if I'm really stressed out, it tends to elevate a little, and if it's very quiet, if I'm in a very quiet room, you tend to hear it because there's no background white noise to offset the tinnitus.
I see. I
Mm,
understand.
mm,
Yeah, and I think again with your ears, it's a good thing to have checked regularly or semi-regularly, however you feel is most appropriate. But
mm.
I think in Australia, Anthony, there are a lot of people that are having an eye condition. Jimmy, could you look up for like a statistic for me? Let's say the percentage of Australians with an eyesight problem. Could you do that for us? Yeah. Thank you. So whilst Jimmy's doing that, from my memory, 1 in 3,000 people get an inherited retinal disease like myself. 1 in 300 get macular degeneration. 1 in 50 people will get diabetes, and a percentage of those people will get diabetic retinopathy and potentially go blind. So in Australia, these are pretty alarming statistics. It would be terrible to think that we've got an answer to this problem, Anthony, because I think there is something out there, and potentially we're doing it. With your eyesight, well, firstly for me, I found my eyesight just within 3 weeks. It's like something was noticeably going on. Did you notice? So you noticed the progression getting blurry. Did you notice it getting better in any way?
It would get better because I wasn't eating sugar every day. But let's say I'd have something on a Saturday night, then Sunday, Monday would be average in the mornings. It'll take a couple of days in the mornings. It's only in the mornings for me. It wasn't throughout the day. So it'd be upon rising,
The
and then
blurriness.
by Tuesday, Wednesday, the symptoms would subside, and of course, no news means good news. Well, that's the illusion because you think nothing is wrong with you, that you're okay, and then you start making poor decisions because you feel good, and the only reason you feel good is because you're eating well. So you make a bad decision to eat something you shouldn't be eating when you're feeling really good, but the reason why you're feeling good is because you're not eating that.
Yep. Yeah, so you know that exactly correlates, well, exactly matches my experience as well. If I eat something, some foods cause, and I can't really call it a blurriness. It's more like the lights have been turned up, full contrast. The walls, the floors, the TV, everything looks brighter, which you think would be a good thing, but it's actually it's not correct. So it's a blurriness, it's a brightness, but it occurs fairly quickly and goes away after about 3 days, which matches your experience as well.
Yeah.
For myself, I found, with the experiments that I did, and I haven't experimented much with fruits and vegetables, but with dairy, I found that dairy, it's the blurriness would sometimes come on within 10, let's say half an hour or so. So it's almost like, and if I can explain it as inflammation, so your eyes and my eyes are very sensitive to this inflammation to the point that we can notice it. When I stop doing the dairy or other things, this problem doesn't occur. Now, here's the trick. My eyesight's a lot worse than yours. And when I eat other things which would be carnivore and totally appropriate, I also get a little bit of this, but nowhere near as much when it comes to carbs. So if you look up the literature, there's been a lot of potential with that. Jimmy, how'd you go with that?
Yeah, so I'm getting Google search.
Can I ask you, is it all dairy, Sean? Is it all forms of dairy that does it for you,
I've
including
tried all
butter?
dairy. Yeah. Could you put that up on the screen, please? All forms of dairy, and I've tested yogurt. So what was worse was the mozzarella cheese. The hard cheeses, I tried all those. It's not so bad as mozzarella, or creamy brie and camembert. I didn't really try normal milk, but I did try cream. Cream definitely does it. Yogurt definitely does it. Cream even more so than yogurt. The least offending was raw milk, which I've been able to source locally. I haven't been able to source any raw cheese to try that. And
So
my biotechnology thinking is there's some chemistry that happens potentially to do with magnesium and calcium interaction, but that's for another day. So up on the screen now here, Jimmy, what have we got?
So it says 55% of Australians have at least one. And the majority of them, 100% of people have
Wow, that's terrible news, because when I did some research recently, it was 52% of Australian people of any age group have a vision problem, some sort of vision impairment, some of which will lead to blindness, some of which are genetic. It's like color blindness, I think, might be included into statistics. We're not suggesting to anybody that everything can be cured or reversed. But certainly in my case, it has, and I've got the documentation to prove it. And I'm also collecting a lot of documentation from other people with stories like Anthony that are giving me their anecdotes into the Facebook group called Eyes on Carnivore. If you'd like to share your story there, please do, and leave a comment if you have a similar story to mine and Anthony, so we can collect those as proof to help other people. Anthony, this is great, and I'm so happy that you found Carnivore, mate. You must be so happy. I'm ecstatic.
it
great.
puts you at peace of mind, doesn't it, Sean? Because There are many fears that we face in life, and one of them is the fear of actually losing quality of life.
Yeah.
I think it's the loss of quality, I think, is the biggest fear for me anyway, is just not being able to do the things I used to, and then having certain things we used to take for granted, having them taken away from us, and then losing quality of life. So for me, it was non-negotiable. For me, it's the best thing that's ever happened to my health, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to the clients that I've helped as a result of that. So I had to become the coach, though. I had to be that coach that was always on, as opposed to being on, being off. I call it having the carnivore-ish lifestyle. The carnivore-ish lifestyle is when you're on, but you're not on. It's like you're on and you're off. You're on and you're off.
Yeah.
I had that for a very long time. And the more you do that, the more contrast you get, the more you know it doesn't serve you moving forward. And then hopefully we wake up and do the right thing moving on. Because for me, the question was, if I give up sugar, who would I be if I gave up sugar?
Mm.
Who would you be if you gave up sugar? Because I used to justify, surely I could have it once a week. Surely it should be okay. But I didn't realize I had a food addiction, and this food addiction was keeping me stuck where I didn't want to be, and it was the sugar. And I wouldn't know how to identify myself if I just completely abolished the very foods that I thought brought me happiness.
Identify yourself. No, that's great. And with your cultural background, I believe you're Greek.
Yes.
That's why aren't you doing the Mediterranean diet if you're Greek?
Well, because we don't know which of the 22 countries it represents, the Mediterranean diet. But
Right.
again, you
Lebanon,
brought that
Gaza
up.
Strip, Israel. There's a whole bunch of Egypt. There's a whole bunch of countries in the Mediterranean. So what exactly that diet consists of is something
But
to.
But the thing is, being Greek or being Italian or being Thai or whatever it might be, we identify our culture with food. That's what it is. And this traces back during the Antipodes times, where we didn't have any of this prior to that. There was no identification of cuisine. Cuisine, identifying a region, a geographic region or a culture or a place in the world from that food, that didn't exist prior to 2,000-3,000 years ago, maybe 4. So for the most part, I grew up eating these foods because I was Greek, and Mum made them because we're Greek. That's what we eat.
Fantastic. I love it. Is there good Greek carnivore food? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, if you're a carnivore, pretty much, well, it's not all of the foods, but I'll just preface the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Did you ever see the movie? When what do you mean meat? You don't eat meat? And everyone turned around and like, how can you be vegetarian? You don't eat meat? And they all freaked out because, okay, we'll give you lamb, basically. So what it's trying to say is, how can you not eat meat? Because all the Greeks, all they know is eating meat. That's all we do is eat meat. So yeah.
I can imagine like big weddings and feasts and whole pigs being roasted on the spit. Am I picturing it right?
Pigs, lamb on the spit. I mean, the works. My father was a hunter in Cyprus, and they would go out, and it was I remember he'd come home with hairs like hanging from he'd have like hairs hanging from his belt line, and just
you mean rabbits?
Yeah, well, they hairs, HARES. Yeah, that's what they were. But
I'm
rabbits.
thinking of a hairy Greek man.
And pigeons and whatever it was that they would come home with, and my father. I mean, I had, from a young boy, I had the palate for all types of foods. I mean, we would eat like the head of a sheep's brain and sheep tongue and the eyes and all of that. I had no problem eating that. And then we would go out hunting for snails, and we would make them with vinegar and oil. And I mean, like I was a big carnivore growing up as a kid.
Wow, that's cool.
So I ate a lot. But my sugar
Yeah.
addiction came from my mother. I think I've spoken about that in another podcast. You know, she'd come home from work and she'd swing by, you know, the convenience store and pick up a couple of these Lion bars or whatever they were. She'd come home. I'd hear the door open. I'd hear the keys, like Pavlov's dog, you know, ringing of the bell. And that for me went, Mum's home, chocolate's here.
Oh, I can smell the wrapper now.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Anthony,
So,
that's a great backstory. And
mhm.
so with your upbringing and your experience and your current knowledge,
Mm,
can we do a few rapid fire questions, and we're going to pit your wits against
mhm.
artificial intelligence?
Okay.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, sure. No
Sorry, I
worries.
didn't prepare you about this.
That's okay. If
Jimmy?
I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know the answer. So,
No, that's quite okay. I think you've got it handled. So Jimmy, bring up on the screen Chat GPT, just in the window if you like. But so what we're going to do is ask you about the carnivore diet,
yes.
and well, let's knock the other diets out of the equation to start off with.
Okay.
So, Anthony, we've all heard about fiber, and fiber is just like cellulose. It's
Yeah.
the cell walls of plants. It's probably in pretty much every plant, yeah, some more than others. And we've been told that we need fiber.
Yeah.
What's your take on fiber, buddy?
Yeah. So my take on fiber is it's not an essential nutrient to the human body. We cannot digest fiber. So we don't
Cannot
require
digest,
fiber.
don't require it. Okay. Jimmy, can you give the chat GPT just strict yes or no answers, please? Is fiber required for dogs, cats, and humans? Because
This
I'm
is cool,
interested in
man.
my guide dog as well. I don't have a cat, and I'm definitely interested in humans.
Oh, this is really cool. I love this. Is so can you answer with yes or no answers? And he's just going to go as fiber an essential nutrient.
Yeah, well, let's see if you're right. This is going to be interesting. So
This is really cool.
Anthony said no.
Okay, so I've asked it if fiber is essential for humans, cats, and dogs, and ChatGPT has said no. I then asked it if carbohydrates are essential for humans, cats, or dogs, and the answer again was no.
So next question is, are carbohydrates essential for humans?
No, the exact requirements for exogenous carbohydrates in human beings is not 1 gram ever.
Not 1 gram ever.
Yeah.
And would you say that an animal-based diet is a fully nutritious diet with all the essential requirements in it?
Yes. There are certain vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you need from meat that you can't get in plants, and there is nothing in plants that you can't get from meat, including fiber, including vitamin C.
Okay. Well, Anthony, you've passed the test. The AI agrees with you. We'll just put up the result on the screen here now,
Okay.
and we'll get. I think we'll get Jimmy to read it out, because some of my viewers may have vision problems. Some people may actually be entirely blind.
So Sean's conversation with ChatGPT, the response was when asked about humans not requiring fiber or carbs. The response was, yes, we discussed how dogs, cats, and humans can thrive without fiber or carbohydrates, as they aren't essential nutrients. Their bodies can obtain energy from proteins and fats, which are sufficient for most biological functions. This concept is especially relevant in diets like a carnivore diet, which relies on animal-based foods.
So, Anthony, thanks very much for answering those questions.
You're
Do
welcome.
you have any questions for me? at all?
Yeah, I'd like to know, how did you find out about the carnivore diet, and was it just by chance that you realized your eyes were improving, or was it something you heard that it could help?
Mm. So Joe Rogan, again, similar or exactly the same as yourself, but this time he was talking to Jordan Peterson, and on a totally different topic as well. They were talking about something else, and he just mentioned it in passing, and I ignored it. And then one day I was leaving my office because I couldn't use the phone for anything, as I mentioned before. I still use a computer. It's got magnification and screen readers and that sort of thing. So I was walking out of my office, going through the door, and I got a message in the back of my head. Like I called a thought, and the thought said, arthritis is caused by inflammation, and inflammation is caused by sugar. That was what I heard in my brain, and I went to my bedroom, lay down, and with the phone, started talking to the phone, look up anti-inflammatory diets. And that's kind of how things happened for me. And I found keto pretty quick. Started keto within a week of deciding, I've got to do something because I was in terrible pain. I couldn't walk the dog across the road, put the washing out, hang up the washing and do the dishes without being in pain, and anxiety and depression. And I just started for the pain, and within 3 weeks, I just noticed that the vision had changed, and I went to got an eye test, and the eye test showed that, hey, your vision's better than it was 3 years beforehand when I had the test in 2020. So it was a life-changing moment, and God bless Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan for touching so many lives in so many different ways. They're certainly to thank for me. And then I found with being able to see a little bit more and doing more research, I found the carnivore diet and influences, and I decided, well, things are getting better, and not entirely healed or everything, but it was apparent, it was noticeable. So I decided, cut out all the plants and see what happens. I haven't looked back.
Well, they say sugar in a baby's brain is called ADHD, but sugar in an adult's brain is called dementia and Alzheimer's. Sugar in your eyes, they call glaucoma. Sugar in your skin, we call glycation and aging. Sugar in your teeth, we call dental cavities. Sugar in the blood, we call diabetes. Sugar in your sleep, we call insomnia. Sugar in your bone, we call arthritis. Right?
Yeah.
Sugar on Wall Street is a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise.
Ooh, that's a good point, isn't it? I was thinking about this earlier today, that the stock market really is controlled by the corporations. They play the game that only they can play because of the huge volumes of money.
That's right.
I pulled some money out of the stock market last year to pay for some things, and I'm glad I did, because then the stocks that I had dropped. They're pretty good stocks. They still dropped. I've got some others that have just crashed and burned. And
Yeah, is it Kerry Mann calls the sugar industry the most legalized drug cartel?
yeah, fully. And when you think of it, this is scrambling people's brains like crystal meth. I mean, it's just diabolical when you think about what's happening to children at ever increasing rates. Not just the 55% of Australians with the vision loss. I mean, let's add to the statistics and go, we've got vision loss, we've got cancer. 50% of people get cancer. Diabetes, I mean, the numbers are huge for autoimmune diseases. The numbers are huge for mental health problems, and ever increasing, and ever the age range going down and down and down. And I don't want to talk about my theories why this is going on, but I think what we've got to do is realize we've got to tighten our belt, put on our flak jacket. I don't know, I'm trying to do a military reference.
Roll up the sleeves.
put on a helmet and get into the battleground, because this is what's going on, and we definitely cannot let them win. And I think this year, Anthony, is going to be a year of epiphanies. And I think they're starting to happen for me, and they're happening for the people around me. And what about you? Do you think we've got a brighter future this year,
So,
2025?
on a personal level, I can honestly say yes. I hit the ground running this year with many aspects of my life, and yeah, there's been some incredible things that have taken place first week of January already. So I can honestly say yes. I think this year there's a different feel to it. I think there's a lot of people waking up. A lot of people are seeking answers. They're wanting to know, how do I know that? Because I have people reach out more now than ever before. They're reaching out, needing guidance, needing help. And what I love about the carnivore space is we don't know where or who inspired who to get to down to here. For example, Kerry Mann was inspired by Dante Frigno. And who knows where Dante was inspired by, but Kerry's inspired how many other people from his story. So what I love to see is somebody does something. I mean, you were inspired by Jordan Peterson. Yeah, I was inspired by initially Vince Gironda, but he wasn't around for me to see. I just only read about it, and it was probably for the wrong reasons. But it's only when I got into, the Sean Bakers, and then eventually I saw the Peterson interview, and that inspired me even more. So what I'm saying is, we don't, unlike the other movements, starting with V, you know what I mean? We don't ram it down people's necks. We don't do any of that. We basically inspire people with our own testimony, with our own health, with our own personal development. Look, I'm not asking you to do this, but I'm just asking you to check out this.
Look at the results.
Look at the results. Just look at that and then make your own decision what you want to do. People don't stick around because they have to. They do so because they want to.
Yeah, no, and look, if you go to Dave Mack's channel, shout out to Dave Mack at Zero Carb, or look for the channel name No Carb Life. Dave's got, I think he's getting close to 1,000 people, anecdotes, stories, whatever you want to call them. Every single one of them are just inspiring. Some of them beyond belief as well. It's like, but God, you went through all that just to find out the food was essentially two things: malnutrition and a slow chronic poisoning causing these problems. And you remove the poison, problem solved. Well, yeah, maybe not so quickly, but this is the magic sauce I was trying to get towards before, Anthony. What do you think is the magic sauce? Is it the meat's magic, or is it that the plants are poison?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's not enough of the right stuff and too much of the wrong stuff. So you need to do both. So where carnivore really excels is when you eliminate all the impurities and you're left nothing with that which nourishes the body. That's the way to really move forward. Now, just going back with Dave Mack for a second, you're still going to get the naysayers that even when he gets to 10,000 interviews and 10,000 anecdotes and whatever, you'll still get other people say, oh, it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's an anomaly. Maybe it's an N equals 1. Well, how many more do you need?
Yeah. No, I've heard the case that it must be placebo. It's like, how can it be placebo on an eye chart test? I mean, I've got the hard results. I've published them quite a few times. And you just can't deny that a test. You can't say the test is wrong, and this is why I hope people will go onto the carnivore diet, get their eyes tested, see what happens for the first three months. Go for three months, and just get your eyes tested at the end. And if there's an improvement, bingo, you are another story. You put your comment down, you tell other people, and it just adds to the evidence. Because when I first started doing this, I mean, I was very much noticing, oh, that's a person with a vision impairment going on carnivore. Are they saying anything about their eyesight getting better? Because it's happened for me. It must be happening for other people. And then I started coming across the people. Then I started doing this channel with Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, for all your help.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. He's great. He's picked it up so well, and he's a carnivore as well. He's going to turn
Good for
25
him.
soon. Yep, he's a champ. So yeah, getting other people to tell their story, and yeah, we got the test results to prove it, and we might be able to put together a case study with those results as well, which
Yeah.
makes it hard evidence that we can publish into the literature, which would mean that's my ultimate aim, to get this stuff studied, put into the literature, so we can say this is the fact. You can't dispute the fact. And I'm N equals 1. But I've come across, I think I've done short clips of other people talking about it, including Jordan Peterson with his, I think he had uveitis, was his eye condition. So, and Anthony, yeah, and so many other people are telling their stories. And I invite anybody that does have a story like Anthony or mine, or even if your vision has got a little bit better and you don't need the glasses anymore, which I've heard over and over again. The amount of people with myopia going, I don't need my glasses. I don't need them at night anymore. I don't need it to read X, Y, Z. So it's not me. No, I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm just some dude that happened to stumble across this stuff, thankfully. And I praise every day that I can see the beauty of reality. Simple things like, I mean, I'm using the phone like a demon these days. It's like a god, like an angel. I don't know what's the best
That's
word for
great.
that. But I created myself a logo. I'm doing stuff on Facebook. I joined Instagram and Twitter and what's the other one? TikTok. All at Eyes on Carnivore. You can find me there. I'm doing quite a bit of posting. Not so much with the anti-vegan stuff, but I get vegan bashed often enough. Usually they block themselves, which is quite nice. They just piss off. But sometimes they hang around and try, any epithet they can get their hands on, like, oh, you're a flat earther, you're a tinfoil hat wearer and conspiracy theorist. It's like, what the hell are you going on about? There's no conspiracy. This is a health issue that I've been able to cure. And here's the proof. What do you reckon about that?
Well, they don't know where to stand on. Well, like to stand on when you give them unequivocal evidence there and there. They don't know where to stand on, So I don't know. They'll come out from another angle as if like, yeah, but you're killing animals, for you to survive. And you can easily survive without animals.
Well, the mere fact is that the statistic that I do repeat is that by being vegan, you're killing 25 times more animals per pound of protein. So if I'm killing 1 cow per year and a few sheep, I don't eat much pork and some fish. There's a handful of animals that are killed that were grown mostly in a domesticated fashion for our consumption. That's what they are. But these animals that are in the crops with crop protection, the herbicides that like glyphosate Roundup, which is an antibiotic, by the way. These animals are getting killed by the millions. There's a good statistic I like to quote. There's 300 mice per acre killed in the wheat fields of Western Australia every year. And during the plague season, which is every 4 years, that goes up to 3,000 mice per acre. So there's about 1 billion mice in the wheat fields of Western Australia gets killed annually. And about 50 billion bees get killed with the almond crops in California. And
wow.
I mean, you're talking trillions and trillions. I mean, just quadrillions of animals that are small, insects, animals in the ground, the things that you can't see, and all the way up to every marsupial, mammal, bird, reptile, fish, or seafood of some sort, and insects and microbes. I mean, they're all killed in order to grow crops in monoculture and even with small scale farming. And I have some experience. I didn't use any of those industrial chemicals, by the way, because my farm was a honeybee farm, and I did yabbies, it's like crustaceans, and I did lemon trees. But I was determined not to use industrial chemicals. So there's that for my part. But that's not that I was trying to be organic. It was just by wanting to do things, and then realizing that with my knowledge, what was I going to put into the greenhouse in order to not use pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, was strains of seeds, strains of crops. I was interested in red Russian kale. It just so happens they've got high plant defense chemicals already built into them, and this is great if you're wanting to say you don't have if you want to go for organic certification. So if you go organic, it may mean that you're just getting plants that have got a lot more toxic defense chemicals in them anyhow. So watch out.
Well, it's either going to be getting it internally from the plant itself or from what's sprayed on it, either way. If you're not going to be getting it from the pesticide, you're going to be getting it from the plant itself.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. I think I could talk about that ad infinitum. But look, let's talk a bit more about your thing. Could you talk about, and I believe it's called Lean 7. Jimmy, could you find his website and bring it up on screen, maybe quarter screen or something? And Anthony, just tell us a bit more about your program.
So the Lean 7 are the 7 hormones that drive fat loss, body recomposition, and a concept I like to call as youthful aging. Youthful aging, we call it the carnivore glow. You probably see people that are starting to eat a certain way and then they start getting this incredible glow to them. That's the expression of epigenetics right there, the very nature how our lifestyle choices impact our physiology and our DNA. And we can actually alter the expression of that DNA. That's me, by the way. Just go up a little bit on the left. If you just scroll up, Jimmy, that's me on the left, that big belly. That's me.
Oh, is this a before and after?
Yeah, that's my crazy before and after. So if you want to screen, sort of, it'll be down from there, Jimmy. That's it. Yeah, there you
go. Okay. And well,
so these are all the testimony. So you can actually scroll across if you wanted to, like to the right, the arrows on the right. You can see other people sort of with some of the work I've done. There's a lot more I haven't updated yet. That's Karen. This is Sam, a friend of mine. These are all just, a lot of them are ketogenic. Some of them are carnivore. That's my sister-in-law, Christina. That was 3 weeks on carnivore. Look at her face. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to youthful aging. It's just a change to the face. The skin changes. These are all pretty cool.
Right. So this is lean7.com.au. And
yes,
I'm presuming you do a lot of this online, so you'll be able to take clients from anywhere in the world, correct?
That's right. Yes. So I basically just consult with clients, give them all that they need. And I think people need structure, feedback, and accountability. And we put all that together and get crazy results over a 12-week period.
Crazy results. Yeah. Well, yeah, and looking pumped. I could imagine you could pop a muscle that'd break the camera.
Yep. Yeah. Well, even, I was there too, guys. I had gained even more body fat after I got in shape. Then I kind of, when you get in shape, sometimes it becomes almost like an anticlimax. It's like, okay, I did it. Now what? Oh, you're doing it for health. That's right. You're doing it for health. You're not doing it for the looks. But then some people just do it for the looks. And when you do it for the looks and not for driving health, because health should be number one. How you look is a byproduct of how healthy you are. And if you're striving for a certain look and now you've got that look, sometimes it might be these anticlimax. Okay, so the abs are out. All right, now what? What's next?
Yep.
Well, now it's a lot of fun going back and entertaining sugar. It's a lot of fun going back and having fun with that. So then you can fall back. Just because you know what to do doesn't always mean you do it. So that was the trap I kept myself in. I know how to lose weight if I want to. I could lose weight if I want to. I'm a trainer. I train people in shape. I could do it if I want to. And that was a trap I was in, Sean. And that's a bad trap to be in, because I'll give you a keynote. To know and not to do is not to know.
Oh, wait up. Let me
To
wrap my
know
head around that.
and not to do is not to know.
Okay.
Yeah. Meaning,
I get that.
okay, you know it, but are you doing it? Guy goes, no. Well, then you don't know it. If you're not doing it, you don't know it. Just because you know it, if you're not applying what you know, you don't know it.
You never know how high you can go unless you aim high, and you never see how far you get.
Yeah, that's right.
I think a lot of people are just stuck in the ambition of daily life, which is get up, have something to eat, go to work, come back home, have more to eat, have some snacks during the day or lunch or whatever, and then go to bed. And that's it. The weekend is Netflix and going out for coffee and brunch or something with friends.
Who sold them on that plan? Who sold them on that plan? You're born, you get the education, you get the scholarship, you get the girlfriend, you get the marriage, you get the house, you get the kids, you get the retirement, you get the trips, you get the disease, and you get the hell out of here. I mean, who signed you on that plan?
Yep. And my take is you work your entire life to only have the last 10 to 30 years in with bad health, with ultimately an early death.
Well, if you're pursuing wealth at the expense of health, that's the problem. Most people spend the first 50 years of our life we're chasing money. Second 50 years we're chasing time. So like you're trying to make something of yourself first 50 at the expense of your health, and now you're taking the second 50 years to try to undo the damage. But who said the second 50, number one, if you're going to get 50, because middle-aged at the moment is pretty much 40, even 35 at the rate of people dying. So who said the second 50 is going to be as functional, as optimal as the first 50? So we get ourselves, we've got the time, but not the money. Then we get the money, but not the time. And not only that, we don't even get the quality time. So I gave this to a friend, and this is something I might share right now. I'll take a couple of minutes to share this, but I said, listen, if I gave you $10 million, but it meant you had to die tomorrow, would you take the money? I said, no. I said, okay, so you wouldn't take the money for 10 million, which means you're telling me that time is more valuable than money. He said, yes. Okay, cool. What if I gave you $10 million and I gave you 100 years to live, but starting from tomorrow, when I give you the 10 million, I contract you with HIV for the rest of your life? Would you take the money? He said, no. So that means that health is more valuable than time. He said, yes. Okay, cool. Now let me if I gave you the 10 million, I gave you 100 years to live, I gave you the best healthy life, but I took away every person that you know who knows you and loves you from your life, your friends, your relatives, would you take the money? He said, no. So relationships are more important than anything else I've spoken about so far, because if you're taking relationships over the health, over the time, over the money, relationships is the most important thing. Think about it. If you're 10 seconds away from passing on to wherever we're going to, wouldn't you want to have your closest loved ones to be around to see you off? Well, if that's going to be the most important thing, then shouldn't that be the most important thing now? And he said, yes. Well, let me take it one more time. If I gave you 10 million tomorrow, gave you 100 years to live, fully healthy with your friends and loved ones, but you were at odds with yourself all your life, you hated the very essence of who you were, you couldn't even see yourself in the mirror, you just hated you, would you take the money? He said, no, I wouldn't do that. Okay, so let me just give it to all the audience right now. In order of priority, the most important relationship you will ever have is the relationship you have with yourself. Number one, how you are with yourself is how you are with other people. You cannot come from love and hate at the same time. If you love others, you love you. If you hate on others, you don't like yourself very much. So at the top comes love of self, not at the expense of others, at the service of other people. You know, ancient scripture says, love thy neighbor like thyself. So number one, the relationship you have with yourself at the top. Number two, the relationships with others. Number three, of course, you need quality health because that buys you more time. And then time gives you more opportunity to go out and make more of this thing called money. That's how it should work.
Yeah. Wow, that's absolutely beautiful. So well said, Anthony. I'm going to try to remember some of that and repeat it if you don't mind.
Please do. It's there to be shared. Again, it's not me. It's the message. It's never the messenger. It's the message.
Sure. No, that's really nice. I appreciate that. So, Anthony, thank you very much for your time. We're closing on the hour. I was wondering if you could, I was wondering if you could close off. Is there anything, your closing statements, if there's people can contact you or reach out to your lean7.com.au?
Yeah, the best place to reach out to me is the most active place. The website's one, which is lean7.com.au. But if the best would be to go to @thelean7 on Instagram, and in the bio you can click and schedule in a discovery call. We just chat one-on-one about your goals, about what your past was, your history, what you're trying to achieve. I primarily work with people who want to improve their body composition. They've been doing carnivore or the ketogenic diet for quite some time, and they haven't been able to master how they look. You know, so losing more body fat. They've been doing carnivore for quite some time, and it's the weight hasn't shifted off. So I sort of go into detail as to why that's going on. Book in for discovery call, and we can take it from there, or just send me a DM or whatever it might be. And that's the best thing I can offer.
So that sounds pretty darn comprehensive to me. And
great.
I know you're a busy man, so I will let you go. But Anthony, thank you so much for your time today. I think our listeners will get a lot out of it.
I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on your channel. I really love your work that you do, Sean. And I love the movement you're creating in the carnivore space with your philosophy, your story, and your sense of humor as well. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Guys, please like, subscribe, leave a comment for Anthony, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.